on BBC Radio Norfolk. Sophie Little with you tonight. It's well known that having a laugh is good for your health. I think we can all agree. And now 2 local people with an interest in improv comedy are using their talents to help people's well-being. Danny O'Hara and Chris Reed trained in improv in Canada and are about to start a new series of sessions back here with their company, Dogface Improv. They've been in before. They're brilliant. Welcome back to the studio, Danny and Chris.
Hello.
Hi, thanks for having us back.
Oh, anytime. Now, just tell us what improv is. Let's start at the beginning for people that maybe didn't catch you last time. What is improv?
Right.
Chris.
Okay. Improv is a really wide spectrum of things, but it's basically unscripted play or performance. So there's lots of different types. Quite often the improv thing that people know about or remember is a TV show called Whose Line Is It Anyway, which was on in the sort of 80s and 90s, when I first became aware of improv. It's probably the most famous example of improv, but actually that's only one small part of it. These sort of games, almost like sort of jumped up parlour games that people played. Actually, there's this whole spectrum, and some don't have so much game structures but are more scenes and characters. It's basically doing some kind of performance without a script or rehearsal or anything.
And you guys fell in love with it?
Yeah.
Yes.
When and why?
I came to improv about nearly 5 years ago, and I'm actually a theatre director, so I'm in the industry of theatre. And when you're a director or a producer, like a lot of people who are in responsibility of jobs of creating events or managing people, you find that you are the one in charge. You're not always having the laugh that you might have enjoyed if you didn't have a managerial job or something like that. And I actually just realised that I didn't have enough laughter in my life, actually. Whilst I was creating something and that was giving me a lot of pleasure, I really didn't do a lot of laughing out loud. And I just felt like I missed it. So I just found it because I mentioned it to someone and they said, "Oh, have you tried this thing?" So I went along, not really knowing what it was. And if you come through the arts, you hear about improvisation, but that's not the same as improv, the art form. So I was like, oh, well, I don't really want to go and do made-up theatre, you know. And then it turned out, oh, improv has its own beats. It was just became my laughter therapy every week. And I would go home and think, how many days before the next one? And it was because it takes you out of everything and you laugh a lot. And you forget everything you're doing anywhere else. And suddenly 2 hours has gone past. And you just feel, oh, wow. And since then, I've just been in love with it, really.
And you feel so good after a laugh. Even hearing you talk about laughing is making me think, I don't laugh enough. I want to laugh more. Tell me a bit about, I know that we covered this last time, but your experience training in improv.
Yeah, so I started when I was down in Brighton, and actually some of my friends, I watched Whose Line Is It Anyway when I was a kid and thought that looks brilliant. And then when I lived in Brighton, there's quite a vibrant improv scene there, and a few of my friends had done an improv course, and it's not something that I'd even thought that you could do a course on or anything like that. And I thought that sounds amazing. I'll give that a go. And so took a course there, and since then we've done lots of courses at Chicago.
In Chicago, yes.
Which is like the spiritual home of improv.
Amazing.
And it's growing. It's growing in this country. It's been quite well established in America for a number of years, but actually you can really feel the tide of improv growing, and there's certainly the scene in Norwich is growing, and more people are finding that it's a really fun thing to do.
So, Dogface, what do you? I know that you've got the new series of stuff, but what do you usually do?
Well, we're a company that's been around about 3 years now, and we have regular gigs and shows that people can just come along and be in the audience. And they're usually at the Cactus Bar in Norwich or Janette's Bar or at the Lord Rosebery pub. We also run courses, and they run 3 times a year, and the next one will be in September. And we do a lot of inviting other troupes or other people to come and train us here, so that we try to bring really well respected improvisers, and they do all types of day workshops, weekend workshops. So we do a lot of that. And now recently we've been moving into offering free workshops and for Wellbeing, and both Chris and I have gone to different places. I recently worked with Mind and the NHS, and I've worked with the Prince's Trust and the Job Centre. You've worked elsewhere as well, haven't you?
Yeah, and because the thing that I'm keen to get across tonight is that we get a lot of people who I think would love our workshops but are afraid to come because they think, I'm not funny, I'm not a comedy performer. And actually improv isn't just about getting up on stage. It's about, you know, it's been fantastic for my mental health to just turn up and have a nice, sociable, fun time, laugh a lot. The one thing that's guaranteed at every session is lots of laughter.
Yeah.
And you meet lovely new people, and just playtime for adults, you know. Kids are very naturally just play all of the time. And when we become adults, we stop playing. And actually, there's no need to. Play is still fun. And so just getting together and connecting with other people, creating art, because it is art. It's an artistic expression. It's a real enriching thing to do.
We've said, you know, that very simplistically, like laughing makes you feel good, but why is improv good for well-being? Talk me through it.
I think the reason it's so accessible, from my experience, because I've worked in drama and theatre and do a lot of other arts, but the reason improv's so accessible is that it's all about collaboration. So once you've actually been brave enough to come into the room, you never feel on the spot, which I think is one of the problems people think they're going to have. Actually, it's all about that joint environment, that joint collaboration. And from that, you lose a lot of your own inhibitions, because you're not being referred to as, now it's you do something. We do everything together. So you might do a really quick circle game that ends up just having everybody fall about in laughter.
Yeah.
And actually, that's part of it. It's not necessarily warming up to anything. That in itself was a great experience, because you're suddenly looking at new people in the eyes and you're laughing with them and you're working with them. And it's okay to have mistakes. It's completely fine, you know.
In fact, you can't do it wrong. It's the most forgiving art form in the world, because whatever you do is the perfect thing for that moment. And that's so liberating. It's sort of a little bit different to how we get used to thinking in life. We embrace failure in improv, which sounds really weird, but we celebrate failure because it means we're trying to do something.
Yeah.
And I can't stress this enough. Anybody can do it.
Yeah.
Both of my parents have now done courses. My dad was on stage last week performing, and he's not a performer. You wouldn't have thought a few years ago that would ever happen.
Yeah.
But literally anybody can do it.
Go on then, prove it.
Okay. Would you like to demonstrate for us, Sophie, that anyone can do it?
Right, go on. What are we doing?
Here's a really simple thing. So one of the core principles of improv is this collaboration, like how we have these sort of techniques. There's no rules. You can do whatever you want, but we have these techniques which help the collaboration.
Okay.
And the first of those is something that we call yes and, which is the concept of agreeing and building upon what your scene partner is doing.
Okay.
So if you imagine you start with absolutely nothing, and from nothing you start to build.
Okay.
So first of all, let's demonstrate that not working, and then we're going to demonstrate it working. So what I'd like you and Danny to do is try to plan a party. Okay. So Danny, if you just suggest things that you'd like to happen at the party, it can be food or entertainment or anything. Sophie, all I'd like you to do is say no to every single thing that Danny says.
Okay, I
just
can do that.
use the word no other words. Okay.
Oh, excited.
When you're ready, off you go.
Oh, Sophie, I'd really love to have loads and loads of clowns at my party.
No.
Okay, how about just enormous amount of chocolate in buckets, which, we can just sit in.
No.
Loads of glitter, lots of rock stars.
No.
Okay, a bouncy castle that you can float around in and drink champagne from.
No.
Okay, all right. How much did we get planned?
No.
Nothing at all.
Nothing.
You still say no. This is very good.
No,
You're very committed
no.
to the exercise. So let's flip that around. So we're just that's proven that denial doesn't get you anywhere. If you're negative, you don't get anywhere. Let's flip that around and use these magic improv words, yes and.
Yes.
So if this time, Sophie, you start off suggesting something to Danny about this party, Danny's going to reply yes and then carry on.
Okay.
And then you're going to reply yes and add something else on. Okay.
All right.
Off you go.
Danny, I think we should have balloon animals.
Yes, and you know what? Every time we have balloon animals, we should also have animals.
Yes, and a magician.
Oh, yeah. And alongside the magician, maybe we can have like a whole floating water boat thing happening.
Yes, and on the lake that we're going to have the boats on outside, we could also do some swimming.
Yes, and when we're doing swimming, can we do it to music and be like part of the Olympic team?
Okay, all right. So there we go. So just flipping that around and bringing positivity instead, we have this amazing party where there's a riverside party, there's synchronized swimming, there's all of these details details happening. Really, really quickly, we've got lots of stuff happening. And that might seem quite simplistic, but actually it's that principle. It's really easy to deny stuff and say no to things. And in improv, we just flip that around and start agreeing to everything. And very, very soon, from nothing, you have a lot of interesting things happening. It's all very
beautiful
positive
demonstration. Yeah.
Right.
And actually, doing that, I was honestly panicking a bit because I was thinking I'm not going to be able to think of anything, and it doesn't happen.
No.
You're having a conversation
because the pressure's not on you.
No,
it's not like something like stand-up comedy where there's this solo pressure to be funny.
No.
It's really nobody has to try to be funny. If you just apply these improv principles, the funny just happens, the interesting just happens. And,
I would also say that when we're doing our wellbeing workshops, we go really with who's in the room. So I did one yesterday where people turned up, and we didn't do what we just done, but we did everything that was based around that, and it was so much fun. And we really, I get a lot out of it myself, but what happens quite a lot is you hear this comment as they leave: oh, I didn't know what to expect. I haven't laughed like that for ages.
Oh.
And not knowing what to expect is the biggest thing, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you kind of touched on it there, but how's it been delivering these as free workshops how does it make you feel?
Yeah, I mean, we'll happily do wellbeing workshops where we also get paid. That's lovely, great for our wellbeing. But yes, these ones that we're doing at the chapel.
It's the chapel on St Stephen's.
Yes,
St Stephen's Chapel on St Stephen's Road.
It's where the old hospital chapel was, and they are on average, I think, like the third Thursday or the fourth Thursday of each month, and you can see all those details on our Facebook page.
Okay.
And they are just literally turn up, and if you can donate towards the room hire, then you can, but if not, that's okay. And at the moment we're working with St Stephen's Church, he's giving us some space to trial that out. But we want to do more, don't we?
We do. The next one is on the 25th of July, and people can go to dogfaceimprov.com or find Dogface Improv on Facebook to have a look at the details of that. But we really welcome everybody. It's going to be gentle, it's going to be fun, there's going to be no it's just really positive and supportive. Yeah.
One of the things that we would really like to say to anyone out there, if you have a group or if you work in a surgery or something, we're really happy to come to you and show your practitioners an hour of fun so that they know what type of thing it is. Because of course, if you've experienced it yourself, you then want to say this is something good. And we have had people on our courses who felt that, but and we're really happy to go anywhere in the county. We
are, and we'll go and run a little taster workshop for any group of people. We're really passionate about improv, and we want to. I want to pass on, because it's been so good. I had really bad mental health in my 20s, and it's still something that I manage, and it's been such a positive thing for me. I'm very keen to just show people that it's a good thing.
You guys are amazing. You've put a big smile on my face just talking about it, and that exercise was so much fun as well. So anyone that wants to know more, dogfaceimprov.com is where they need to go for that. You guys have to come back in again soon.
Yes, and you have to come to one of our workshops.
I would love to, and I won't say no, I promise. I'll leave no at the door. Chris and Danny, thank you so much for coming in. We'll catch up with you soon.
Thanks,
Thank
Sophie.
you.